All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Well, it's actually not a 49er video because what it really is a Super Bowl 60 preview, and unfortunately, it does not include the Niners. It includes the Seahawks and the Patriots in the Niners Stadium. But we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, two locations right now, a third on the way. Corte Madera, Emeryville, they're open from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. They're also going to be opening in Petaluma in 2026. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. And also, 49er football season, all season long, was presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper Picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry, Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, let's talk about Super Bowl 60. A bunch of thoughts that we have on Super Bowl 60. Seattle's the better team, but I'm rooting for New England to win the game. And I think maybe I've convinced myself that New England's got a shot, but I think New England definitely has a shot. Bill Barnwell has a great preview up, and he talked a little bit about how the NFL, it's all been about explosive plays. You know, the key factor is not turnovers as much as explosive plays. And, you know, you're seeing a lot more two-shell defenses. That's what Seattle does. They play in this two-shell. They play in this two-deep shell. Teams played more two deep shells more than 45% of the time on early downs in 2025. That's up from 38% in 2020 and 35% from 2017. So that's a factor. And so you're seeing teams trying to run the ball a little bit more against these two shell defenses and run them out of it. And it's a difficult thing to do. There's also, you know, the game plan of playing defense and leaning on your defense and special teams doesn't work as well with the new dynamic kickoff rules. The touchback is now at the 30-yard line and the 35-yard line now in 2025, and they've made it more difficult to play that field position game. And, you know, we're going to play defense and field position. The average drive after a kickoff starts at the 31-yard line now. That's 5 full yards ahead of where it was just 5 years ago. So it's harder to play that kind of defense, special teams, positioning game. It's really more about explosives and who gets the explosives and who can minimize their opponent's explosives. So offenses have responded to a lot of the two-shell by running the football more effectively. Maybe you got a quarterback who can break down the two-shell by using his feet and his speed. Or maybe you've got that awesome receiver that is just uncoverable, can hit a seam and go. But teams that produce more explosive plays than their opponent have won 61.2% of the time. Teams that win the turnover battle, which is, you know, the classic, you know, traditional measure of playing smart and winning football, have only won 59.1%. So we're now in an era where winning the turnover battle will get you the win almost 60% of the time. But if you can out-explosive your opponent with explosive plays, you're going to win almost, you know, over 61% of the time. So it's that the explosive play has become really the cool thing, or the most important thing, I should say, to winning football. If you looked at, you know, generating explosive plays, how important is it? Well, each of the 4 teams that made it to the conference championship round ranked in the top 5 during the regular season in explosive plays. The Rams created explosives 12.6% of the time on offense. You know, the Packers were really good at limiting explosives. Denver was really good at limiting explosives. The Patriots were 4th at 2.8%, limiting explosives. And the Seahawks, who were going to be favored, of course, in the Super Bowl and are favored by 4.5 points, they outpaced everyone. Their 4.7 explosive play differential was the best mark in the NFL and the 9th best figure posted by any team in the past 25 years. So they get explosives, they limit explosives, and that's how they win. They sit in that two deep shell. They force you to either run the ball or drop everything underneath. They have unbelievable second level defensive speed and they just shut it down. If you look at the six best teams by explosive play differential over the past 25 years, all made it to the Super Bowl, but they also all lost. And I thought that was interesting. A Patriots defense that was ordinary during the regular season by advanced metrics has allowed just 6 explosives through 3 postseason games while playing a series of compromised, injury impacted offensive teams. So to put this in perspective, Seattle gave up 12 explosives to the Rams alone in the NFC Championship game. So to me, explosives are going to be a big part of it. Who limits the this is Seattle's game. They limit your explosives, they get a few explosives, and that's how they win. So the Seahawks want to live in that 2 deep safety shell pre-snap and then force the quarterback to process and force them to take the safe check down. And they play 2 deep coverages after the snap 57% of the time on first and second down. That's the 3rd highest rate of any defense. So they've got, and why do they do this? Well, they've got a deep, talented secondary. Devin Witherspoon's probably the best player back there, but Julian Love's a star as well. Nicky Manwari's a special player, but they have a deep and talented secondary. They're in their base defense just 5.7% of the time on first and second down. They're playing nickel. That's the lowest rate in the NFL is the Seahawks as far as their base defense. They play it in 5.7% of the time. The league average for base defense on early downs is 35.2%. And the Seahawks are in their base defense 5.7% of the time. So they sit in their nickel, they dare you to run, and then they have all kinds of second level speed. In the NFC Championship game, the Rams went 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends. And they tried to overpower the Seahawks and get them to kind of come out of their nickel and play a base and put a 3rd linebacker on the field. Instead, Seattle faced 40 plays from either 12 personnel or 13 personnel, 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends, and they went with nickel against it 35 snaps or 36 of the 40 snaps. So they're going to stay in their nickel. Doesn't matter if you go big people or not. And I do expect the Patriots to put Mumford on the field and go with that 6th offensive lineman. But the Seattle stays in their 2 deep shell, and they stay in their nickel at the highest rate in the league, and they just dare teams to run the ball. And they've got 8 men in the box against the run. On early downs, only 7.7% of the time. That is the lowest in the league. So they present you light boxes and dare you to run. And yet they have the best run defense in the NFL. On early downs, they allow 3.5 yards per carry on designed runs on first and second down. Number 1 in the NFL. So they've got a 64.6% success rate against those runs, and they allowed just 7 explosive runs on early down designed runs all year, fewest in the NFL. So they sit in their 2 deep shell. They don't give you any explosives in the run game. They kind of encourage you to drop everything underneath. They dare you to run against light boxes, and then they rally up and they make plays. A lot of it's because of the personnel. I asked Kyle Shanahan, what makes Seattle so good? He's like, man, their personnel really fits their scheme. If you look at the 15 most used defenders from Pete Carroll's final season with the organization, which was only 2023, 9 are no longer on the roster. And of the 6 who remain, only Jaron Reed and Boye Mafe, they're in reduced roles. Uchenna Nwosu, who missed most of 2023 with a torn pec, he's been healthy for a lot of this year. So, and then McDonald came in and he made some slight adjustments to what they have personnel-wise. Kobe Bryant, the former Thorpe Award winner, was a slot corner who had been benched. He moved him to free safety, added more speed. And Bryant's been awesome in coverage. He allows a 54.0 passer rating in coverage this season. Ty Okada, who's their backup safety, has stepped in when Kobe Bryant and Julian Love were out with injuries, and he stood out. And he's been a very reliable tackling defensive back. Drake Thomas, who was a nothing player with the Raiders, has stepped in. He's taken Tyrese Knight's spot in the starting lineup. and he is a major player for them. And then John Schneider deserves credit. I mean, they signed Josh Jobe off waivers from the Eagles in 2024 and built him into a starting corner. The Rams and Titans had given up on Ernest Jones the fourth, and John Schneider said, hey, here's Jerome Baker and a pick. Give us Ernest Jones. And Jones has been absolutely transformative for Seattle's D. McDonald's run D was 15th in EPA per snap against designed rushes before Ernest Jones arrived last year. And they've been the best in the league ever since Jones arrived. He's really, really good. You know, he's fantastic. I mean, he's really good against the run. He's 26. He allowed a 54.0 passer rating in coverage this season. He has 5 interceptions. He's just a really good player. DeMarcus Lawrence has come in, and his ability to set the edge in the run game has really helped against the outside zone runs. You know, I think DeMarcus Lawrence was one of the reasons the Niners couldn't run it on the outside, because he's just so hard to block and nobody could block him. McKivitz tried to block him, couldn't. And this guy just blew up the Niners' outside zone run game. If you can't get to the edges because of the DeMarcus Lawrences of the world, you can't run the ball. If you're an outside zone run team. And then in Baltimore, you know, Michael McDonald had Nnamdi Madubuike, and what did he do when he came, and he was a great pass rusher. What did he do when he came to Seattle? Well, he had Leonard Williams, but then Byron Murphy. You know, his first number 1 draft pick was Byron Murphy, and this guy's had 7 sacks and 13 quarterback knockdowns this year. He ranks 16th in pass rush win rate, 14th in pressure rate among defensive tackles. Byron Murphy's a force. And then the big key has been Nick Emmanwori, the rookie safety, has been absolutely amazing. You know, Schneider traded up to get this guy with the 35th pick out of South Carolina. And at South Carolina, they used Nick Emmanwori in a lot of different ways. He was a free safety. He was a strong safety in the box. But since he's gotten to the NFL, McDonald doesn't use him as a safety. They're leaning on Julian Love and Bryant and Okada to play those roles. And instead, Emmanwori has been a nickel defender. He's been a jack-of-all-trades player. He's near the line of scrimmage. During the regular season, NFL Next Gen Stats listed Emmanwori for 326 snaps as a slot corner, 8 snaps as an outside corner, 12 snaps as a safety, 250 snaps as an outside linebacker, 34 as an inside linebacker, 77 snaps as an edge rusher, 9 snaps as a defensive tackle. So they're using him all over the place, and he's got huge speed. He's 6'3", he's 220, and he's physical, and he's got an ability as a blitzer. He's got 2.5 sacks, 4 knockdowns, and 9 tackles for loss and 11 starts this year. He's just really, really good. You know, he's really, really good. He did hurt his ankle Wednesday in practice, so that's one thing to consider in this game. How healthy is Nick Emmanwori? But Emmanwori has been absolutely spectacular. If you look at the Seahawks, they're doing it with their front four. They don't blitz. They posted the league's 5th best pressure rate this season at 35.2%, despite blitzing at the 6th lowest rate. So they don't have a Myles Garrett. They don't have a Micah Parsons. They don't have a true number 1 guy, but they get a lot of stunting and movement up front. And they got tackles that can rush the passer. They got edges that can set the edge in the run game. They're really, really strong. Now, there's some major advantages in this game for Seattle as well. Travion Henderson, one of the running backs for New England, is a rookie, not much of a blocker. Will Campbell has really struggled. I mean, during the regular season, Will Campbell, their starting left tackle, gave up 8.5 sacks in 13 games. And then he suffered a knee injury late in the year and missed 4 games in December. And since returning to the lineup, he has just been a major liability. I mean, he really has. Will Anderson, Khalil Mack, Adafe Owe, they've all worked him. In 3 postseason games, Campbell has allowed 4 sacks, 15 pressures, 7 quick pressures. His 6.8% quick pressure rate during the playoffs would be the worst mark for a full season starter on the blind side in the entire league. So it's a major advantage for Seattle to go up against a young left side, 2 rookies on the left side of the Patriots offensive line. Now, the one thing is Seattle's really good at limiting explosives, but the Patriots, conversely, are the best offense in the league at creating explosive plays. They created explosive plays on 13.6% of their offensive snaps during the regular season. Drake May does it with his arm. Drake May does it with his legs. He produced 11 explosives on scrambles this year, just behind Caleb Williams and Justin Herbert, ahead of Mahomes, ahead of Josh Allen. Drake May, you don't think of Drake May as a runner, but he absolutely can run and will run. And if you give him avenues, he's going to take it and go. So it's going to be interesting to see. Can the Patriots block up front? If they can, they may be able to make some plays. Reek Woolen is definitely susceptible to double moves. Puka Nacua hit him for a touchdown in the NFC title game. Josh Jobe can be physically overwhelmed when he's out there. Devin Witherspoon's a great player, but he's had his moments. Devontae Adams beat him in coverage in the NFC Championship game. So it's going to be interesting. Eman Wari is definitely a force near the line of scrimmage. But when you can force Eman Wari to work in space and play coverage, opposing receivers have had success. They've been able to hit big completions against him again when they make him play coverage. So if you can make Eman Wari play coverage, he's more of a linebacker. He's not really a safety. He's a safety in name only. Drake May was the league's best quarterback on deep throws outside the numbers this season. He posted a 98.3 total QBR. If he can hit some big plays outside the numbers down the field, that might be all it takes to win this game. You look at, the Seahawks were the second best defense in total QBR in terms of taking away, those throws deep down the field outside the numbers. But Stafford went 15 of 24 for 521 and 2 touchdowns on deep throws outside the numbers in 3 games against them this year. He posted a 98.7 total QBR on those passes. So he had success. We'll see if May can have equal success in this game. Now, the one thing that you'll see is that Josh McDaniels is a wild card. He's been in this game a lot, and he learned from Bill Belichick, who, learned from Paul Brown, who was definitely a proponent of using trick plays and trying to use them early. Use trick plays before your opponent does. So expect to see some trick plays early in this game from McDaniels. I think that's likely you're likely to see that. The other thing that I think you're going to see is you're going to see some empty formations where they empty the backfield. Seattle struggled this year. They were 20th in EPA per play against empty looks on defense. And this was a 54 play sample size, so it wasn't no plays at all. They struggle against empty. And if the Patriots can empty the backfield and create some empty looks, that might be a way for them to get some explosive plays. The one thing the Patriots did do really well is they run the ball out of off duo, taking advantage of their running back's ability and vision to accelerate through tackles in the open spaces. So they're going to use the crack toss concept, try to seal off Seattle's edge rushers lined up outside the tight ends. We'll see if New England has success running it. If New England can have any success running it, I think that really helps them in this regard to win this game. If you look at New England, they've run the ball better. Seattle gives up on inside runs 4.7 per carry. On outside runs, they're really good. You can't run to the perimeter on them, but if you can run it inside, they're not particularly that great. 4.7 a carry is 26th in the NFL. So the Patriots were better running outside zone than inside zone this season, if you look at EPA per play. But in this matchup, you may see them run it inside. And if they're having success running it inside, that could be a major advantage in this game for the Patriots. One thing I love about the Patriots is they've used a lot of Thayer Mumford Jr., he's quietly becoming one of the more important parts of this offense. He's a 330-pound backup tackle. And this is kind of a league-wide shift of using 6 offensive linemen more often this year. We're seeing it at a higher rate. It's interesting. In Week 15, the Pats got Travion Henderson loose on a 52-yard run and a 65-yard run. Both went for touchdowns, and they were both on 6 lineman snaps with Mumford on the field. This was against Buffalo. So look for Mumford, to be a factor. I mean, since that Bills game, the Pats have an average of 14.5 snaps per game out of 6 lineman sets, with Mumford being the key guy, and he's adding significant heft to their run game. So, it's interesting. One of the things that benefits New England in this game is when they do go to the extra lineman, the sixth offensive lineman. They've actually had success with Drake May throwing it out of this alignment. He's averaged 9.4 yards per attempt when the Pats have thrown out of 6 O lineman groupings. And the league as a whole has averaged 7.4 yards per attempt throwing in those sets. So, there does. It's about the way the defense reacts to that sixth offensive lineman, but teams have had success throwing it with using 6 offensive linemen in the game at one time. One injury note on the Pats front to be concerned of: starting linebacker Robert Spillane is questionable for the game with an ankle injury. If he can't go or isn't at 100%, the Pats may have to go nickel against 12 personnel by default. So that's something to look for. JSN, how do the Patriots stop JSN? Do they double JSN? New England's really, their main weakness is their red zone defense is one of the biggest liabilities on either side of the ball. Pats ranked 30th in the NFL in opponent red zone conversion rate. They allowed offenses to score touchdowns on 67.5% of their trips inside the 20-yard line. So what are they going to do with JSN? The Pats were not one of the league's leading man coverage teams in 2025. According to Next Gen Stats, they used man coverage 29.8% of opposing dropbacks, which was 12th highest rate in the league. But then in the AFC Championship game, Christian Gonzalez and the boys back there manned up a ton. They played man coverage 48.6% of Denver's dropbacks. That was their second highest man coverage rate in a single game all season. Was that because of Jarrett Stidham, or was that because of the weather, or did they just feel like they matched up? The one thing that you do tend to see is you may see the Patriots. Now, one thing Belichick used to do is he would go with his second best corner in the safety against your number one receiver, and then put his number one corner on your number 2 receiver. So you may see the Pats go with Carlton Davis and a safety over the top against JSN, and then use Christian Gonzalez against Cooper Kupp or Rashid Shaheed on the other side. That is something to look for. That will be a wrinkle that will be interesting. Do they put Christian Gonzalez on JSN, or do they try to go with Carlton Davis and a safety? Interesting. Clint Kubiak has lined up JSN in the slot 24% of his routes during the postseason. That means he would get the slot corner Marcus Jones. Jones is a playmaker who can make picks. He's smaller, but he's a great coverage guy, and he will go for the football. So that's something to watch for as well. The Patriots since week 9 have been very blitz happy. If you look at their defense, outside of the one game against Cincinnati where they blitzed just 10.5% of the time, the Pats have blitzed on at least 30% of opposing teams' dropbacks in every single game over that span. Overall, they've blitzed 35.1% of the time over that stretch, a figure topped only by the Minnesota Vikings with their blitz-heavy defensive coordinator. They blitz 51% of the dropbacks, but Pats are blitzing a lot. Now, the question is, how is Sam Darnold going to handle that blitz? Another injury thing to look for is, Patriots edge rusher Harold Landry III has been dealing with a knee injury for most of the season. He left the win over the Texans after just 11 snaps. He did not play in the AFC Championship game. That's going to be something to watch. Now, the Seahawks were 9th in the NFL in success rate against blitzes during the regular season, 12th in EPA per play. But the one thing that New England does well out of their blitz is they create turnovers. 5 of the 8 turnovers the Pats have forced this postseason have come on blitzes. So they're having a lot of success forcing turnovers by bringing the blitz. Now, where do they bring the blitz? I think they try to test Anthony Bradford, the right guard. He allowed a team-high 13 quick pressures this season. Pass rushers have repeatedly given him trouble when they work Bradford's outside shoulder and just gone around him. He can be a turnstile for sure. I think they'll blitz and put a lot of pressure on Bradford, to adapt to the whole thing. The advantage on special teams definitely goes to Seattle. They're a strong special teams unit. The issue for the Pats is going to come when they kick to Shaheed. I would try to kick away from him as much as possible. Patriots ranked 23rd in EPA per kickoff, 30th in EPA per punt return this season. Meanwhile, Seahawks led the league in EPA on kickoffs. Michael Dixon ranked second in the league in the punt analytics ranking of punting performance. And of course, Shaheed is an awesome return man. Maybe the best going right now. As far as, will the Seahawks go for it on fourth down? Seattle went for it just 17.6% of the time on fourth downs on the offensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the field, I should say, the lowest rate of any team in the NFL. So they typically don't go for it on fourth down very often. That will be something to watch for. One thing I would say, if just looking at this game, I like the defenses to win out. I don't, there's going to be some points, but I think that, Seattle's defense is going to slow down New England. I think New England's defense is going to give wrinkles to Sam Darnold that he hasn't seen before. These are obviously two great teams, which is why they're in the Super Bowl. But I just think that, this is a Patriots defense that allowed the 9th fewest passing yards per game in the regular season, as well as the 4th fewest points per game. So they're a really underrated defense. Injury-wise for Seattle, their left tackle, Charles Cross, has had multiple injuries since mid-December. He was a limited participant at practice on Wednesday with a foot injury. Eman Wari has got an ankle that they say he's going to go. Robbie Utsis, the fullback, the rookie, is listed as questionable for the game as well. Spillane injured that ankle in the championship game. He's questionable. Joshua Farmer and Harold Landry are also questionable and may not go. So the Pats, by the way, are making their 12th Super Bowl appearance. They're 6-5 in the previous 11. And, of course, this is the rematch of the Malcolm Butler Interception Bowl. So, overall, I think I like defense in this game. I like New England's. New England's going to give some wrinkles to Sam Darnold. I like the prop that says Sam Darnold throws at least one pick. Sam Darnold has had, a Rams team he's totally comfortable with going against, a Niners team he's totally comfortable going against. Now he's going to get a team that's going to give him some different wrinkles, make him do some things he doesn't like. It's a better defense that should take away Kenneth Walker and make Sam Darnold make plays. And I just think Sam Darnold's going to make some plays, but he's also going to turn it over. I think this game's really, really close. I'm going to say the Seahawks get the win 23-20 in a low-scoring game. And I'm going to say the Patriots get the cover. I like the Patriots plus the 4.5. How am I going to wager on this thing? I'm going to tease it. I'm going to take the Patriots on the teaser, and then I'm going to tease it up and go under. So I'll go under, and I'll go with the Patriots on the teaser. So that's how I'm betting it. I think Seattle probably gets the ring. I'll say 23-20, Seahawks get the win, Pats get the cover. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to Sleeper for sponsoring this video. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. The promo code is Larry. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of The Krug Show. And thanks to you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube. And look for us in the postgame. We'll have a nice little postgame show when the game concludes.